You know that feeling when everything seems perfect. Too perfect? The kind of neighborhood where every lawn looks identical, every mailbox shines, every neighbor smiles, but only just enough to pass as polite. Yeah, this story starts in one of those places. I moved into Briarwood Estates in early spring. Quiet suburb, tree-lined streets. HOA rules longer than a pharmacy receipt. But after everything I'd been through, I wanted quiet. My name's Daniel. I'm 32, veteran, and I walk with a limp most days thanks to shrapnel damage in my left leg. I don't advertise it. I don't like sympathy. I just live my life. The house I bought was small but cozy. End of the cul-de-sac. Perfect. And then, there was her. If you've ever met an HOA Karen, you know the type. Perfect blonde bob. Tennis skirt even when she's not playing tennis. Clipboard in hand like it's a weapon. Smile sharp enough to draw blood. Her name was Melissa Hawthorne, president of the HOA, self-appointed sheriff of suburbia, and apparently, ruler of everyone's business. I met her 5 minutes after I unloaded my first box. She marched up my driveway like she owned the land beneath my feet. "Hi, welcome to Briarwood," she said, voice sugary. "I'm Melissa, HOA president." I smiled politely. "Nice to meet you." Her eyes immediately dropped to my cane, just for a fraction of a second, but long enough. "Oh," she said, "are you going to be okay living alone here?" "Not concern. Judgment. I'll manage." She gave me a tight smile. "Well, we do like to keep things orderly here, safe, structured." Then she handed me a packet. No, not a packet, a binder. HOA rules. Read thoroughly. We enforce them strictly. I nodded. Got it. She lingered a second longer, eyes scanning my driveway, my porch, my trash bin, evaluating, like I was a problem she hadn't solved yet. For the first few weeks, everything stayed quiet. I installed a small ramp by my front step. Not huge, just enough to save my knee from screaming every morning. I filed the paperwork, got approval, everything by the book. Then my doctor submitted paperwork for a handicap parking sign at the curb in front of my house. County approved. City installed it. A blue metal sign. Legal, official. It wasn't about convenience. It was about pain management. Some days I could barely make it from my car to my front door. The sign changed everything, and not in the way I expected. 3 days after the sign went up, I noticed something strange. People would slow down when driving past my house. Not out of curiosity, out of disapproval. And every time I looked out my window, Melissa's curtains would twitch, watching. Then came the first note, folded neatly, slid under my door. Handicap parking is for those who really need it. This is a community, not a free-for-all. No name, no signature, but I knew. You ever read something and just sit there like, did that seriously just happen? I tried to ignore it. I told myself it was just one bitter person. Every neighborhood has one. But then came the second note. People are talking. Some of us think you're taking advantage. And then the third. Remove the sign or we'll take action. That's when I stopped laughing. I reported it to the HOA. I documented everything. And guess who responded? Melissa. Her email was polite, professionally cold. "We have received your complaint. However, we encourage all residents to maintain harmony within the community." Maintain harmony. Translation. Stop rocking the boat. I replied simply, "The sign is legal. County approved. Doctor verified. End of discussion." She never replied. But I could feel it. The shift. You ever get that sense someone's waiting for you to slip? That's what it felt like Melissa wasn't done. Like she was just getting started. And I had no idea how far she was willing to go. It happened on a Tuesday. Nothing special about the day. Cloudy, quiet, too quiet. I came home from physical therapy around 4 p.m., pulled up to my usual spot, and froze. The blue sign was gone. Not bent. Not knocked over. Gone. Just a jagged stump of metal where it used to stand. I sat there in my car for a full minute, staring, trying to process. Because this wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't miscommunication. Someone had physically removed county property. Someone had decided. They knew better than my doctor, better than the city, better than my reality, and I knew exactly who. I took pictures, close-ups, wide shots, tire marks in the grass. Then I limped straight to Melissa's house. Doorbell camera, fresh wreath, American flag angled just right. I rang the bell. She opened the door with that same tight smile. "Oh, Daniel, hi." I didn't smile back. "My sign is gone." Her eyebrows lifted, perfectly rehearsed. "Your sign?" "The handicap sign in front of my house." She tilted her head. "That's awful. Maybe kids? Kids with bolt cutters?" I held up my phone. "Funny thing, My security cam caught someone at 2:14 a.m. Her smile faltered for half a second. Half a second too long. Do you want to see the footage? I asked. Her voice stayed sweet. Of course, we should bring this to the HOA board. Already sent it to the police. Silence, just for a beat. Then she laughed. A little too high, a little too fake. Oh, Daniel, you're overreacting. This is a neighborhood issue, not a criminal one. I stared at her. You're right, I said quietly. It is criminal. And I walked away. That night, I barely slept. Not because of the pain, not because of the missing sign, but because something inside me shifted. This wasn't just entitlement anymore. This was personal. The police report went through. County scheduled replacement. But Melissa? She escalated. Suddenly I was getting HOA violation notices. My trash bin was visible from the street too long. My porch light was not warm enough in color tone. My ramp was inconsistent with neighborhood aesthetics. Petty. Constant. Relentless. Death by paperwork. You ever realize someone's trying to push you until you snap? That's exactly what she was doing. Testing. Provoking. Waiting. But what Melissa didn't know? I had started documenting everything. Every note. Every email. Every camera angle. Because if she wanted a war of control, I was done being quiet. And then came the night. That changed everything. It was nearly midnight when my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Front yard camera. I opened the live feed, and there she was. Melissa, standing at the curb, holding something in her hand. Something metal. Something familiar. There she was. Melissa Hawthorne, HOA president, neighborhood watchdog, standing under a streetlight at midnight with bolt cutters in her hand. My heart didn't race, it sank. Because this wasn't just passive-aggressive anymore. This was deliberate, calculated, cruel. I didn't storm outside, didn't yell, didn't confront her. Instead, I did something she never expected. I recorded. Every second. Her face, her posture. The moment she leaned down toward the freshly installed sign. The moment the metal groaned under pressure. The moment she looked directly toward my house, smiled, and kept cutting. This woman genuinely believed she was untouchable. That the rules she enforced on everyone else somehow didn't apply to her. That she was the authority, the judge, the jury, the executioner. By morning, the sign was gone again. But this time, I was ready. I sent the footage to the police, the county accessibility office, the HOA board, and yes, every single neighbor in the community email thread. No caption, no commentary, just the video. Let the truth speak for itself. You've never seen a neighborhood go silent so fast. The replies stopped. The complaints stopped. The violation notices stopped. For 3 glorious days, nobody said a word. And then, the HOA board called an emergency meeting. Mandatory attendance. The clubhouse was packed. Not just board members. Not just homeowners. People brought folding chairs. Some stood along the walls. Because everyone had seen the video. Everyone knew. And everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Melissa sat at the front table. Still composed. Still upright. Still wearing that familiar practiced smile. But something had changed. Her husband sat beside her. Quiet. Rigid. Uncomfortable. The board chair cleared his throat. Let's begin. A projector screen flickered to life. And there it was. The footage. Melissa. The bolt cutters. The act. Gasps filled the room. Not murmurs. Not whispers. Full-on shock. Someone actually said out loud, "Oh my God." Melissa stood abruptly. This is being taken out of context. Her voice was tight, controlled, cracking. This resident has been disruptive since he moved in. He's manipulating everyone. Sit down, someone said from the crowd. Not loud, but firm. Not me. Another neighbor. Then another voice. Yeah, sit down. Then another. You committed a crime. For the first time since I met her, Melissa looked small, not powerful, not in control, not untouchable, just exposed. The board chair turned to her. Melissa, did you remove the sign? Silence. Thick. Heavy. Her husband finally spoke. Softly. Barely audible. Melissa. She snapped toward him. Not now, but it was too late. Everyone was watching. Everyone was listening. And something in his face shifted, like a dam starting to crack. You could feel it. Something was about to happen. Not drama. Not theatrics. Something real. Her husband stood. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't shout. But when he spoke, every person in that room went silent. I told you to stop, he said quietly. Melissa froze. He wasn't speaking to the room. He was speaking to her. I told you weeks ago to leave him alone. Her face drained of color. "You're embarrassing me," she hissed. He shook his head slowly. "No, Melissa, you embarrassed yourself." The room wasn't watching a scandal anymore. They were watching a marriage unravel in real time. "She's been obsessed with this," he continued. "The sign, the ramp, the idea that someone got special treatment. She couldn't let it go." Melissa snapped. "Because it affects property values." And that's when everything changed. Her husband turned fully toward her, pain in his eyes, anger beneath it. "You ripped out a handicap sign? Because of property values?" Silence. Total. Crushing. That's when it happened. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. Not exaggerated. Just raw human emotion reaching its breaking point. He lifted his hand and slapped her. Once, open palm. Not forceful enough to injure, but loud enough to echo through the room. Gasps. Shouts. People standing? Chaos. Someone yelled, "Hey!" Someone else shouted, "Call the police!" The board chair stood up, yelling for calm. Melissa stood there frozen, hand to her cheek, eyes wide in shock. Her husband didn't look angry anymore. He looked broken. "I'm done," he said quietly. Then he walked out. The police were already on their way anyway, for the vandalism, for the harassment, for the stolen property. Everything Melissa thought she could hide. Everything she thought she could control. The fallout was swift. Melissa was removed from the HOA board unanimously. Criminal charges were filed for vandalism and harassment. She was fined, required to attend community mediation, and issued a formal restraining order against contacting me. Her reputation? Gone. Not cancelled. Not destroyed by gossip. Destroyed by her own actions. The HOA rewrote its policies after that. Clearer protections for disabled residents. Oversight procedures. Accountability. The irony? My sign became untouchable, not just because it was law, but because the neighborhood finally understood why it mattered. Neighbors started stopping by, not with notes, not with complaints, but with apologies. "I should have spoken up sooner. We didn't know. You didn't deserve that." And for the first time since I moved there, I felt like I actually belonged. Melissa moved out 3 months later. House went up for sale. No farewell, no goodbye, just gone. People ask me sometimes if I regret how far it went. If I regret reporting it, sharing the footage, letting the truth out. No, because this was never about revenge. It was about dignity, about the simple right to exist without being questioned, without being judged, without having to prove your pain is real. Some people think authority gives them power, but real power is standing your ground quietly, documenting everything, telling the truth, and letting consequences speak louder than anger ever could.